How do you like that music, Scott?
One question. Real 80s music, or is this synthwave?
So it's new to me. It's called Future Funk. It is a brother of synthwave. And I've dug into this, and it's funny because they got like all of these varieties of songs that are like Debbie Gibson backing tracks or like Samantha Fox backing tracks, or everything just sounds like old 80s shit in a different way than the synthwave that I taught everybody about last time.
Okay.
So you weren't a fan of the synthwave. You were like, yeah, I can't get into this.
I'm not listening to it every day.
What about Future Funk?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think my music's from the 60s and the 70s. I don't think I'm a huge 80s guy. I may have my favorites from the 80s, but if I'm listening to something from the 80s, I want to hear that, not something that sounds like that.
I just hear this music and names pop into my head like Sheena Easton.
I thought this was Sheena Easton when you started playing it.
It might as well be Sheena Easton.
Yeah.
It's a complete copy of that sound.
I don't know. If I'm listening to something that sounds like Sheena Easton, I'm just going to listen to Sheena Easton.
Problem is, Sheena Easton isn't making any new music, but Future Funk is. In fact, this band is called Exacta. This song's called Tupperwave. I like this other band, too. They're called Barb Walters. Barb Walters.
This just sounds like shoulder pads.
Yeah, it does. A lot of puffy clothes, headbands.
I take it back. No shoulder pads. I feel like this is one giant scoop neck with one shoulder out.
I heard roller skates in there.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, that's our show. Too much CG. Hope you enjoyed learning about Future Funk. Bringing new stuff that I find. It's just what this is about. It's just what the show's about, Scott. All of you just have to listen to all the shit that I find. Because my wife is so tired of hearing about it, I had to make a podcast to make everybody else suffer. Because I can't have a small audience. I must have a bigger audience. And I am very, very thankful for the sudden surge of new listeners that we got in this last week. I can't totally tell where you're coming from, but I'm really glad you're here. I just pray you're not bots. You're not from Estonia, so there's a very good chance that these are real people.
4 people are from Estonia. We found the Estonians.
They came back?
At least the Estonian bots. Yes, we have.
All right, well, I'll take the 4 Estonian bots plus all the other new listeners we have. Hey, everybody, a quick reminder, if you would be so kind as to recommend our show. I almost said, if you would be so kind as to rewind. Remember that fucking thing you saw in those? Yeah, well, digging into the nostalgia already. If you would be so kind as to recommend our show to people that you think would like it, that would really matter a lot to us because we're that kind of show that works best with word of mouth. There's not a whole lot of 40-year-olds hanging out on TikTok to hear about new podcasts. So, we're a perfect show for the people like you, 40-year-olds, still listening to the same stuff that you listened to when you were growing up, still watching the same shit that you were watching when you were growing up. Be part of our tribe. Welcome to Too Much CGI. Scott, it was Father's Day. What did you do?
Yeah, man. Happy belated. I grilled. I smoked some ribs and some chicken. Had my in-laws over, my parents over, my brother and his wife came over. It was a good time. But prior to the holiday, got to hang out with you and your son and my son, and it was a good time.
How about that? I don't think those kids had seen each other I don't think they remembered seeing each other, but I'm pretty sure they met. They've definitely been in the same room.
No, dude, I'm convinced that last time I saw Will, I don't think Chase was born.
Wow.
Time flies, man.
It does, man. Real fast. Real fucking fast. Try to keep tabs on a teenager, especially now with the way the phones are. And within that phone is an entire universe we knew nothing of when we were young. So like our universe was maybe our backyard down the street.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy to be a kid now. So that shit that moved so fast, our kids grew up so fast. Everything is just, I'm telling everybody at work, because, I work in tech. I do marketing. I'm like, guys, we just went through an amazing, quick growth spurt, this AI thing. I mean, that just goes to show like how fast things can go sometimes when you're not looking. What's that dumb Ferris Bueller line? Take a look to smell the roses.
Life goes pretty fast.
You don't
slow
stop
down
and look around once in a while.
Like
You could miss it.
Or something to that effect.
Something like that. You did very good. We did something when we hung out.
Yeah. We went across the Spider-Verse.
We saw a flick. It's hard to get me to go to a movie theater, but we tried a new movie theater because I only go to the hoity-toity. They call it the movie tavern here. I don't even know if that's a thing everywhere, but there's one movie theater that I go to because they feed you. But other than that, I hate the movie theater experience. So you were like, "Hey, let's go to this local one." I was secretly terrified because I knew it would just be noisy people and crunching popcorn and crying kids, and I knew that it would just be a shit show. And man, I was very pleased. It was a great experience.
Yeah, like you were surprised to see the reclining chairs and have the space, and I thought you knew what we were getting into.
No, I didn't know theaters went that way because I remember them being really small and really tight. Absolutely no ushers coming in to point the flashlight at people who were talking because that's what I used to like when I was a kid. I could go to the theater and I know I'd get a quiet experience because some pimply faced usher would come out and shine that flashlight, on the people that were talking, and they would be so shamed back in the day being like the 80s. They're like, "Oh my God, that kid shined a flashlight on me. I was being bad." And you could tell that, like, that guy feels like an asshole. Nowadays, nobody would stop. If an usher came out and shined a flashlight at you, they'd throw their fucking phone at the usher.
I was gonna say get his soda thrown in his face. Now I have a question. What kind of movie slumming do you think I'm doing? I'm just going to spend a shithole?
I just didn't know theaters upgraded themselves.
Okay.
But you're right. When you say there was tons of space, there was tons of space. Like, it was hard to hear the people next to us. But tons of space means fewer seats in the theater. And I'm surprised that they allowed that. I'm surprised they didn't try to cram as many seats as they could.
Yeah, there's only 7 rows. I think there's like 34 seats, 35 seats in the entire theater that we were in. And we were in one of their smaller theaters. It was a Fox theater. But yeah, they do a good job. All the reclining seats, they're heated. You got the tray table in front of you. They do serve food, not like Movie Tavern does, but yeah, it's still a pretty good scene.
Well, without giving away any spoilers, what were your thoughts on the Spider-Verse?
I enjoyed it right up until the very end.
It had a controversial ending.
It didn't have an ending.
Oh, that's a spoiler.
Oh, it's not. People should know. I wish I'd have known.
Would that have stopped you from seeing it?
I may have waited until the part 3 came out. I felt like I was Lord of the Rings.
Interesting. All right, everybody. I think we got to talk about this for a quick second. So we're going to reveal a little spoiler in 3, 2, 1. So the end of this is beyond the spider. What is this one? This was across the
Spider-Verse.
Yeah. So at the end, the action's about to kick off again. I'm going, holy shit, there's another act. This movie's amazing, but there's another act. And then it pulls the old to be continued. They're already set up for a part 3.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, you're not going to contain this story. You're going to let it dangle until part 3 is made. That bummed me out too. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming out, I guess, probably in 3 years. So there seem to be like 3-year intervals in between.
Seems that way, man. That movie was so impressive that they didn't whip it together. I mean, they took a lot of time on that flick.
It was good. It was really good. But I have this complete disdain for to be continued. I mean, think about it. The greatest sequel ever, Empire Strikes Back, didn't have a to be continued. Just left him dangling off the bottom of Cloud City. And it wasn't completely resolved, but it was kind of cool that the bad guys won this.
So if it didn't have a to be continued, would you have liked it better?
It didn't close any loose ends. That's the thing about Empire Strikes Back. It had a beginning, it had a middle, and it had some resolution as far as like, oh, we tried to do this, it didn't work. Now Han is frozen in carbonite and Luke's hanging off the bottom. Like, we know something else is going to have to come, but we still had an ending.
Interesting. Yeah, see, I think Empire Strikes Back was a loose end. I thought that was, without the to be continued words, it was a to be continued moment because they said, we have to go find Han. We didn't think as moviegoers that Han was dead because they said, we got to go get him. And then you're like, oh, right, they're going to make another.
Well, a little behind the scenes, the whole reason they frozen Han in carbonite, thematically, it was to get him to Jabba the Hutt and have him not escape. But in real world Hollywood, with him off making Indiana Jones, they didn't know if he was going to come back and finish the role. Like, he wasn't under contract.
That's funny.
Yeah, they could have killed him off in carbonite.
You got to think about how movies have changed because of scheduling conflicts. I was thinking, I really like that comedian who played Spider Pig or Spider Ham, John Mulaney.
John Mulaney, yeah.
And they weren't in this. You saw at the end, Spider Pig, because I guess they're kind of saying they're setting Spider Pig up for being in part 3. But you didn't hear
Spoiler.
John Mulaney. Yep, sorry. Yeah, we're in spoiler territory. Do I have to count every time I do a spoiler now? No. New rule. Once we declare spoiler territory, we're in it. We're kneecap deep into spoiler shit. So, John Mulaney wasn't in it. And then, I know some things about the guy's personal life. I know, because he was on Saturday Night Live talking about how he was in rehab. So if he was in rehab and they were about to make the sequel, maybe they had to write out Spider Pig. And maybe they said, listen, we'll save Spider Pig for part 3. But if we write out Spider Pig, it would be kind of weird to have Nicolas Cage's character, the noir Spider-Man, in it. So you know what? We'll write him out too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened. And Nicolas Cage is sitting at home going, God damn motherfucker.
But they did bring back Penny Parker. She was back with her arachnid robot.
For a millisecond.
Yeah, but she had some lines.
There were some funny Spider-Man cameos in there.
Yeah. A lot of that you could have seen in the preview, though.
I was hoping to see more of them. That's probably my only... No, I got 2 complaints. I can complain about anything. And I love this movie. And I can still complain about it.
It was good.
So 2 of my biggest complaints, a little bit of crowbarring in those Easter eggs that not everybody's going to get. When you do that and the whole movie has to be wrapped around that. Okay, here's, again, everybody, spoiler territory. So there's one part where they're pulling in all of these different prowlers through the multiverse. Prowler's the bad guy in the first movie, and in this one, he makes a quick appearance, and Prowler he's the uncle of Miles Morales. So at some point, they're pulling all the Prowlers through the different universes. And then you see a human actor just sitting there in a cartoon world, and it's
Donald Glover,
better known as
Childish Gambino.
I love that you know all that.
Correction, better known as Lando Calrissian.
For us, yeah, that's great. But he makes some kind of joke like, "Oh, they got me too," because that ties it back to the MCU, right? Who's owned by Disney. This is a Sony movie. So I thought it was kind of fun that they tied back to a Disney movie, but it was also...
No, that was a Sony movie too. That was not an MCU movie. All the Spider-Man, Far From Home, No Way Home, Homecoming, those were all Sony movies.
I think we have an argument here. What I believe the truth to be is they are Sony and Disney joints. They're both by both parties, right? Because that's why they were able to have Tony Stark as Iron Man in there. They haven't done that thing that they talked about yet, where they were going to start doing different Spider-Man movies. They haven't started that yet. I don't know why, but they put out Morbius, right? He's in the other Spider-Man universe that we haven't seen Spider-Man in yet. They put out Venom. He's in that same other universe.
So everything Tom Holland is Disney?
Yes.
Really?
Until he starts appearing in the Sony Spider-Verse. And I don't know if you saw it. There's a new trailer now for Kraven the Hunter.
No, I didn't see that.
It looks absolutely awful. Looks like every damn thing Sony tries to make related to Spider-Man looks just like absolute dog shit, except for this Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Which is always great.
So that's interesting. So he kind of straddles both worlds. Can I go to Disney Plus and watch those? Because I feel like I had to go to HBO Max to watch those Spider-Man movies.
As far as I know, they're all there on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Really?
Including the Sony movies.
You win. I concede.
For some reason in that deal, and I don't remember all the details of it, but they're able to show those Sony Spider-Man movies in Disney Plus.
Yeah, because Happy Hogan's in there, and I mean they're all Disney characters on the periphery. Okay, I take it back.
Well, I thought it was a little bit of a stretch to suddenly pan over to him, Childish Gambino, where most people were going to go, "What the fuck? I don't get it." It just seemed a little odd. And there was another part they did with the Venom verse. I don't know if you even saw Venom to know this joke.
I had no idea what that was.
See, that's what I was saying. I reached over to you and said something, so you know what scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the running gag in Venom is that Eddie Brock would walk into this convenience store. This old lady ran it. And the first time he walked in the first Venom movie, he's talking to Venom that's now like part of him. Right. So the gag is, oh, look at this crazy customer talking to himself. And it turns out it's Venom. She meets Venom eventually, but she gets used to Venom. Okay. So part 2 is like Eddie Brock walks in. He says, "Hello, Mrs." And then Venom goes, "Hello, Mrs." So now she's used to Venom. So in this gag, right, the guy from the bad guy, The Spot, which is awesome.
Yeah.
What an awesome.
That was hilarious.
He jumps in and he puts his head into that universe and sees the same woman. And he goes, "You don't seem very surprised to see me." And she's like, "I see a lot of weird stuff." because she's seen Venom in the other two movies.
Gotcha.
But if you didn't see those movies, the whole thing is lost on you, and you just end up with more questions going, I feel like I'm out of the loop. And I got to think for people that aren't super, watchers like I am, that must not feel that great that they're watching all these gags and things going, I just have no idea what's going on.
So the only thing I got out of it, because I do fall into that other category, I thought it was just like, okay, she runs a convenience store or bodega in New York City. She probably does see a lot of weird shit. And it was like, even in that, you say it was a long walk to get there for the cameo. It was a long walk for that to be a joke, because like, why are we in this is an animated movie, and this was like, again, real world. And it was like, yeah, this is weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. And it was the Sony people going, listen, you got to give a plug to the Venom verse. Like it's our flagship superhero movie. Oh, do I have to? Yes, you have to. Fuck. It's going to ruin the movie.
Just do it. So one thing I thought was very funny in the movie, and this is not a spoiler at all, but one thing that took me out of it a little bit in the first movie was just how blatant the product placement was. Huge Coca-Cola billboards and banners, and I could see if he was in Times Square, but he wasn't even in Times Square. It was just like he's swinging from one side of the movie screen to the other, and it's this huge Coca-Cola thing in the background. Well, in this one, he swings past something and it just says soda. It's a generic brand. Like, so I don't know if they lost their product placement endorsements or what, but it was very self-aware in that way.
Good eye. I remember you saying that too. You're like, that was funny, generic, and I didn't really pick up on what you were saying there. That's good. Well, everyone, go out and see it. It's a great movie. Really well done.
It's good. Or wait till the next one comes out and then watch them, and she can have an ending to that movie. I will say this, though. For a 2.5 hour movie, which it was, didn't feel like 2.5 hours.
Nope.
So there's no way they could have put more into it. It would have been too much.
Your son is younger than my son. My son loved it, but it was more story and dialogue driven than I think the last one was. So
yeah,
your boy being around 10, I think he's 10, right?
He'll be 11 next Tuesday, yeah.
And he said it was a little slow. So I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, he just watched part 1 earlier in the day. We saw it on Saturday, right?
Right.
Yeah, he saw it earlier in the day on Saturday. So that was a lot more action-packed, a lot more with the bad guy. The bad guy in this is hilarious. I think with any superhero movie, a superhero movie can only be as good as the bad guy. And Jason Schwartzman played a fantastic bumbling goof of a bad guy, but he did it very well.
I kept waiting for them to go, hey, this is the real bad guy, because nobody knows who the Spot is. No, the Spot stays throughout that whole thing, and he makes sense.
Yeah.
He may have been on our list of most ridiculous villains, because I'm pretty sure I saw him when I was doing the research if we didn't actually name him, because he is pretty absurd.
No, very ridiculous. So on a scale of 5, I give it a 4.
I give it a 5. I'm not going to knock it down to a 4 just for a little bit of forced fan service. I thought it was that good. Loved it.
Yeah. So there we go. We average a 4.5 out of 5.
Weight it towards me. I have better taste.
And guess what? It's all CGI.
It sure is. It's all CGI. We're supposed to hate it.
It's done well. The animation is done well. Very artful.
Well, moving on a little bit, let me tell you about something I was looking into, because I said on the last show, I love dead celebrities. Like, I went to edit the show and I went, oh my God, I said that out loud. I'm like, that's so fucking weird and creepy. And then I said, but I kind of do find it fascinating, because celebrities die all the time and sometimes you don't hear about them. And I started to go through a list of dead celebrities that I wasn't aware were even dead. So we're going to play a little game, and I'm going to read some names to you, Scott. And these are all dead people. These are people that died. But you got to tell me, did they die this year in 2023, or did they die in another year?
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. All right. Here we go. The Iron Sheik.
Recently deceased.
Recently deceased. Yes, we just lost the Iron Sheik. Ted Kaczynski.
Recently deceased.
Recently deceased. You remember who Ted Kaczynski is?
Unabomber.
The fucking Unabomber. I wonder if he had women writing him letters in jail, love letters. I always hear that these crazy killing motherfuckers always have like some kind of fan club. Kirstie Alley. Did she die this year or another year?
I feel like that was last year, I want to say.
Very good. 2022, December. Treat Williams. Did you know Treat Williams was dead? I didn't even know that. Pretty sure I saw him signing autographs a little bit ago.
I don't think I know who Treat Williams is. Give me a hint. What would I know him from?
A lot of 80s trash. I can't think. I don't think he ever made a movie that hit it big. He became kind of like a Tom Berenger, like you knew him, and then he kind of faded away and did like shitty roles until nobody knew who he was.
I'm going to say recently.
That's right. June 12th, 2023.
Very recently, this month.
Fucker just bit it. How about Pele?
Oh, he died long ago, I believe.
Pele, the famous soccer player, died at 82.
I'm going to say he died a while back, though.
He died December 29th, 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, fucker was still around.
Still not this year. I would have thought he was famous in the 70s, right?
I don't know. When I was a soccer playing kid, I know everybody was like, let's try to be like Pele and play without shoes on. So all I know is Pele evidently played without shoes on.
Huh.
Which is amazing if that's true. All right, we'll give you one more. One more.
All right.
Gonna make it a hard one. Jerry Springer. No, I'm just kidding. We just did the Jerry Springer died show like 2 weeks ago.
I was like, do you even listen to this show, Bill?
Burt Bacharach. All these people died this year. I didn't even hear about half of these. Raquel Welch, Richard Belzer, Tom Sizemore. God, this year's been brutal.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. You may not know this one, but knowing you, it's probably one you know so fucking well. You'll give you a full biography on this person. Harry Belafonte. Did he die in 2023 or before? No. No.
You bunch of losers!
I'm going to say it was this year.
April 25th, 2023. You got it, sir. You win the celebrity death game. Your prize is absolute nothing.
Tally me, banana.
Remember what Weird Al gave away as a prize?
You get to drink from the fire hose.
Or the other song, I lost on Jeopardy. You get a lifetime supply of rice-a-roni, the San Francisco treat. And that's not all, Al. You lost. That was, remember who did the voice for that? That was the same guy who did the voice for Saturday Night Live, the famous announcer.
Oh, the fuck was this?
I know, I'm blanking too.
Like Guy something?
Guy Smiley. That's right, Guy Smiley.
That's Guy Smiley. He reminds me of Guy Smiley.
Guy Smiley gave me the creeps when he would appear on Sesame Street.
It was like Uncanny Valley. Like he's supposed to be a real person. Like all their Muppets are supposed to be like animals or monsters or whatever. They had like Prairie Dawn and Guy Smiley that were supposed to be like real people, and that was it.
If ever there was a Sesame Street Muppet that was a molester, I would have thought it would be Guy Smiley. Just did not trust him.
I'm not nervous.
But you're shaking.
Oh, that's because shake starts with shh, just like shoe.
Oh, wonderful. A shaking shoe. Isn't that terrific? Okay.
I got a great email. You want to hear some email?
You know what? Before we get into that, I have something for you.
Ooh, let's have it.
You want to play games? I'm going to do a callback. Got a bad movie description for you.
All right, let's do it. Let's quickly describe it if you're a first-time listener, since we have all these new followers, all these new fans.
Yeah, let's introduce you to something here. An eccentric group of recent college graduates travel to New York City to pitch their musical to Broadway producers with mixed results in this family-friendly musical.
College graduates want to pitch a musical. Is this a popular movie?
Yes. Very popular in certain circles. And no, this isn't Scott got really crazy with show tunes during the pandemic. This is actually like real pop culture popular.
All right. In case anybody out there is struggling as much as I am, do you have any hints?
Any hint I could think of would give it away.
All right. I got nothing. So that
it's an 80s movie. I have the soundtrack on vinyl.
Fame?
No, sir.
Lambada, the Forbidden Dance?
Is that a movie? Not this movie. You want the answer, or should I give it out next week?
I think you ought to give it out next week and let the people who listen, if you got it, send it in through Facebook or Twitter, Too Much CGI. You'll find us. Or you can go to the website, toomuchcgi.com, and there's an email address there. You can send it in there. Let's see who gets it.
Yeah, send it in. We'll read your name. I'll fuck it up in a future episode.
Read it one more time.
An eccentric group of recent college graduates traveled to New York City to pitch their musical to Broadway producers with mixed results in this family-friendly musical.
This is an 80s thing. I probably avoided this like the plague.
I bet you didn't.
Really? All right, we're gonna leave it there. This is interesting.
All right.
Guess who's back? Tim Yoke's back. He sent another note through Facebook, had me laughing my ass off. He says, "We tried to watch for your height only, and YouTube is literally playing an unskippable ad once a minute. It's more ad than content, completely impossible to watch. They played a 15-second clip of the movie at one point, separated by 2 ads." So I found that.
Wow.
Yeah, I found that same path, and it was like, click here to get the next 15-minute clip, and then click here to get the next one. Don't do that. If you dig hard enough, you can find the full movie.
Yeah, I didn't experience that at all.
So he was able to follow up. He said, "Hey, I found another download. It didn't play a single commercial. I'm dying here." When she's when she says Baldo, his nickname is Tattoo, I just lost it. I don't even remember that part. This isn't just cheese. It's a 10-pound block of 1970s government mystery cheese product. I can't breathe. But I'm so glad he took our advice and checked out Wang Wang. The one and only, for your height only. It's a great movie.
Love it. Love it.
If you can find it, you got to watch it. The 1981. Where was it from?
Philippines.
Yeah, Philippines flick. Their version of 007. So they call them 00. Which is a joke I didn't get until you said it out loud on the last show.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Very demeaning.
That one went right over my head. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
I hear you have a great main segment for us today. What'd you bring to us?
Well, you hear I have a great main segment, but you have no idea what it's about.
I don't. This time, I love when we do this to each other. We kind of, leave the other one hanging. Yeah, this time you're leaving me hanging. I have no idea what this is about.
This one here is going to be part 2 in our Toys mini-series. And this is a bit off the beaten path for us here. This is a little bit later than anything that we've talked about prior. We're going to go into 1996 Pokemon. So what do you know about Pokemon, Bill? What's your familiarity with Pokemon?
Pokemon, other than my boy loving it, like he was out there. I don't even think it was the heyday of it. I think it was like the 3rd and 4th wave of Pokemon. It was still popular. And I remember the cartoons. I remember the cartoons went into the theaters. There was Pokemon movies. I think I've seen most of the Pokemon things. I even saw the Pokemon Detective Pokemon, whatever that is, with Ryan Reynolds. So I know a bit more about Pokemon than I think I should. I even know that I enjoy being Pokemon characters when I play Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I know Charizard, because he's one of my favorites. Right. Squirtle, he's a good one. Squirtle, fucking Squirtle. But to be honest with you, in terms of the game, outside of like video games, I don't know it.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to play the card game.
In picking this title, it's probably much more nostalgic for me than it is for you. Did you know my first job, I worked at KB Toys. And every Saturday during the height of Pokemon craze, 98, I would say, 98, 99, every Saturday, KB Toys would host a Pokemon, the trading card game gym in the back stock room. And I was a Pokemon gym leader.
Oh my God, did you wear a little cap, like a red cap?
No, I didn't dress up. I did have badges to hand out, though. I handed out badges to kids that completed challenges, and I would battle kids. So I knew all about the card game. But let's dissect what you shared there and go a little bit deeper into it, and I'll give you some history of Pokemon. So as I mentioned, 1996, Pokemon is debuted in Japan. Doesn't come to the States until 1998. And then it hits Europe and Australia in 99. That year, it all started with 2 Game Boy video games, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. You said that Will was probably watching this around like the 3rd or 4th generation. You know how many generations there have been in Pokemon?
No, how many?
I think they're on generation 9 right now. So since that debut for us here in the States, I'm going to focus everything year-wise on US. That's where we're at, except for our fellow Estonians. It was probably a year later for you, but 98, Pokemon Red and Blue. From there, Pokemon Yellow comes out in 1999. Pokemon Gold and Silver comes out in 2000. Pokemon Crystal comes out in 2001. Ruby and Sapphire comes out in 2002. Fire Red and Leaf Green come out in 2004. Emerald 2005. Diamond and Pearl 2007. Platinum 2009. Heart Gold and Soul Silver 2010. Black and White 2011. Black 2 White 2 2012. X and Y 2013. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire 2014, Sun and Moon 2016, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon 2017, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee 2018, Sword and Shield 2019, Unite 2021, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl 2021, Legends Arceus 2022, Scarlet and Violet also 2022. Jesus Christ, these things just kept fucking coming, and basically it's always the same game. Now, these are just games that were made for the Game Boy, and they switched over to the Game Boy Advance, and then they made it for eventually the Switch. I know there's some in here that aren't even listed. You mentioned Smash Brothers. These characters played cameos in Smash Brothers games. I had a Pokemon Snap for the N64. This is just all the Nintendo products that were just sole RPG Pokemon games.
How do they differ from each other?
They really don't. Sometimes you can pick a different starting character. Sometimes there's new Pokemon to catch. And that's the other thing. Do you know how many Pokemon there are in existence right now?
No, how many?
So when Pokemon first came out and they were debuted to us, there was 150. And then they came out with the Pokemon movie, that one of the ones you mentioned, and they introduced Mew as the 151st Pokemon. When Gold and Silver came out, they introduced another 100 Pokemon. Through that entire list of fucking shenanigans I just rambled through, there's now 1,010 total Pokemon for now.
Wow. What about that Pokemon Go game where they're out there holding their phone, that augmented reality? Oh, I just needed to know if they had 100,000 Pokemon running around on the street.
No, in that they were only up to 940. They did not introduce all 1,010 to Pokemon Go yet. So July 6th, 2016, they debuted Pokemon Go to all mobile cell phones, devices, iPads, you name it. To your point, people are now outside walking around the streets trying to catch Pokemon. Sadly, I'm one of them. I play. I still catch.
Pikachu.
You still do? It's still around?
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing their best to kill it, but people still keep playing it. They keep fucking around with it and raids and stuff like that. But no, I have almost all of them. I almost caught them all, Bill.
You have so much free time. It's beautiful.
If only.
There was a game that my wife and I played called Ingress, and it was actually owned, I believe, by Google, but it wasn't something they really promoted or talked about. But
I remember she was playing this. Yeah. And there were like stops, like Pokemon gyms almost.
Exactly. So she would go out and she would look for like landmarks, and somehow this game knew of some of the most obscure little landmarks. If your library had a little statue of a woman sitting, with a book in her hand, that could have been in this game. So it was all sorts of information, maybe sent in from the people playing it. Maybe it was from Google Maps. That I don't know, but it was kind of fun. We would go around and try to claim the landmarks, and it was a very low, graphical type of experience. It was more about just like logging that you got it. But there were two teams. You were either on the blue team or the green team. They called themselves Smurfs or Frogs. I guess like the community started to really build up around this, and then people would go and attack each other's bases, and it got interesting. And then this came out, Pokemon, and I was saying to Amy, I'm like, Ingress is dead. Like everyone's going to go to Pokemon. I don't know if it happened where everybody left Ingress, but Pokemon did get big. It was fucking huge when it launched.
Yeah, there's 3 different teams you can join in Pokemon when you first start playing. I'm Team Instinct, which is the yellow team. I know that there's a red team and a blue team. I can't think of their names right now, but I've always been Team Instinct from the get-go. But you can make friends. You can do raids together, as I mentioned. There are gyms. You can claim gyms and leave Pokemon in gyms to defend the gyms, kind of how I believe the Ingress game works. So, yeah. So this whole thing started with a video game. But then what came next? Well, the Pokemon cards, as I think you mentioned, and also the cartoons.
I would have thought the cards were first.
Oh, so the cards were put out by Wizards of the Coast, who basically made the card game very much a clone, albeit a watered down clone, of another popular Wizards of the Coast game, Magic the Gathering. But as far as Pokemon cards go, this is what the kids would come into KB Toys and play every Saturday against each other. And I still have a full, complete set of Pokemon cards, and they're worth some money. I have the Charizard, I have all the holofoils, I have all of them because I was that fucking nerd that was a gym master watching your kids while you were off doing fuck all.
Wow. A lot of parents owe you. So when you're playing the card version, is it the same as the video game version?
It's the same idea in that your character has attacks that they can do, but in the card version, you have to attach energy cards to them. So they have to have the right amount of energy to do some of the more advanced attacks. And then there's like rules in each one. It's really a strategy game. It's a really good game. It's almost like a form of like a newer age chess where like your guys have moves, they have defense, they have strengths, they have weaknesses. And it all comes down to luck of the draw sometimes as to what you have in your hand, as to what you can play. And it's still going strong. I mean, not as strong as what it was when there were toy stores hosting, tournaments every Saturday, but my kids are still both into Pokemon cards. I mentioned like each birthday would be like the theme. Pokemon was probably one of the longest standing toys that they played with as far as the cards go. And I taught them the Pokemon trading card game. We played it quite a bit. They both got into it. I broke out some of my cards and we had a grand old time.
Does anyone age in that show? Like, is Ash now like older and Pikachu's, kind of gray?
Well, that hasn't happened. Ash did step away from it. They had some other people come in and fill in for Ash. And then they did bring Ash back for a while, but Ash hasn't been a mainstay in all the episodes. And to speak about that, how many episodes would you guess there were of Pokemon? Like the original Pokemon series, no spin-offs, nothing like that.
Well, considering how much I saw it on, and I did watch a lot of it, it would just be on, and I can hear the music in my head, and they'd go, "Guess that Pokemon," and then I'd be like, shit, I'm gonna try.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
But I would think that cartoon, at least in that incarnation, was around for 7 seasons, and if there's 18 episodes per season, which is a wild ass guess, the math is somewhere around 200.
The original cartoon ran from 1997 to 2023, and there were 1,250 episodes.
Where did it air? Where has it been airing, I guess is the question.
I don't fully know. I know that you can stream them on, I believe Netflix has them.
Okay.
My kids were watching them. We probably watched all of them at one point or the other. And now there's a new cartoon reboot out called Pokemon Horizons. Just started in 2023. The dates on it are 2023 to present, and there's 12 episodes of that one out. I haven't seen anything about this one. Like, I'm not seeking out Pokemon. My kids will watch it, and I'll see it, but they haven't been watching this one at all.
Did they ever do anything where they take like totally different turns on animation styles, or is it still always anime and they always look the same?
It's all been very anime, with like the very shocked faces with the big mouths and the screaming and like the action lines and
Oh, I hate that.
all the stuff you said you hate.
Oh, huh? Mm. Man.
So aside from the small screen, big screen, 19 different animated movies.
I would have guessed 4.
19. Now, some of these may have been like direct to streaming. Some of these may have been direct to DVD back before streaming was a thing. But yeah. And then something you mentioned earlier, Detective Pikachu, Pokemon Detective Pikachu came out in 2019, starring Ryan Reynolds.
And I didn't hate that movie. Got to admit, I kind of liked it.
It was a good story, but it was too much CGI. That little Pikachu walking around the real world kind of had some like Roger Rabbit, but I feel like Roger Rabbit did it better.
I'm trying to remember how that ended too. It was a really corny, ending, but whatever. It was a kid's movie.
The ending was Ryan Reynolds' soul was in the body of Pikachu, but Ryan Reynolds was the kid's dad.
And we see Ryan Reynolds like he's
He
the actual.
comes out at the end at the train station.
Right, that's
yes.
right.
Yes.
Doesn't it seem like anything that guy does doesn't work unless he's wearing that Deadpool mask?
He had some stuff I liked.
Really? I think that movie Pikachu made money despite him. I think people only want him to be Deadpool.
Well, now, but I don't think Deadpool would have been a thing if he didn't have success in Van Wilder. He made a name for himself before Deadpool.
Do you know that Bert Kirshner guy? The comedian always takes his shirt off, big beer belly.
Yeah. Okay.
My wife told me he's the guy that whoever came up with Van Wilder, he's Van Wilder.
Oh, like in real life?
Yeah, like he's the inspiration for Van Wilder. I have no idea if this is some bullshit somebody told my wife, because my wife loves Ryan Reynolds and she loves Van Wilder. And every time we see that Bert Kreischer, she says, "Oh, he looks like you," and then she says,
Oh, oh shit.
"I don't know. If I'm adding noise to the internet, you're welcome. Chaos out there already."
That's right. The drop in the ocean. Well, I mean, as to wrap up the toy segment here with Pokemon, in addition to the games and the cards, when it comes to actual toys, goddamn well merchandising had every single figure out there. And even the initial theme song was like, there's 150, at least 151, gotta catch them all. Damned if kids didn't try. People, I mean, these toys were everywhere. We sold them at KB. They had them, Burger King had a whole big giveaway. And like, it was like a huge thing where people just start going to Burger King to try and collect all of these action figures they're handing out in their kids' meals. So it's huge. Still a big scene. They're still coming out. Like I said, the last game they came out with Scarlet and Violet, which just came out in 2022. That was for the Switch. So it's on the current Nintendo console. Pokemon Go, like I said, still going strong, and it just rebooted this new cartoon series. So as far as where it is today, I don't see any end in sight. Still going strong, man.
I'm surprised they never tried to do that thing that came out after them.
Digimon?
Yeah, I remember my kid being into that. But no, it was cards, right? So like Pokemon, but they had action figures. And the action figures could sit on the cards and somehow
Oh, and they would like pop open. They're like magnetic.
something like that. And so it made it a
Yeah.
lot more, bring the toys into the video game world. Surprised they never took that approach.
They never got that involved with it, but what they did do was they would release like very special, powerful cards that had powerful moves and things that you could only get at certain places, such as in toy packages. Or when the very first Pokemon movie came out in the year 2000, people were going back to the movie theater 2, 3, 4 times. They had 4 very special Warner Brothers stamped cards you could only get by going to the movie theater. So they use cards for promotional things. We just got cards this past summer in Happy Meals just by going through the drive-through at McDonald's. So they're still using cards to push people towards the game or towards other products. But yeah, people still collect cards and they're worth shit tons of money.
That's funny that that's still something people do today. Can't believe people are still collecting cards today. That's cool.
Well, I think I know why these cards might still be so popular, Bill. Let me take a guess what the most expensive Pokemon card sold went for.
$1 million.
Exactly $1 million.
Wow.
It was just one of 41 copies, and it was sold at auction for $1 million. You gotta be fucking kidding me. The holy grail people kept going after when they were coming into the toy store to buy cards was the holofoil Charizard. At the time, that was going for anywhere from $300 to $400 on the second market.
And that was going to be my last question. Did they make different kinds of cards like that? Because, yeah, that is a thing I remember from the collecting days. And did they come with gum?
Never came with gum. No gum, but they did make other cards. I have the base set, and then they did a jungle set, they did a fossil set, they did all kinds of expansions. They almost have as many expansions as what they had different games here for the system. They did re-release the basic set maybe 10 years ago, which kind of pissed me off because I was like, oh, well, now there's a second edition to the one that I have now. My value is not going to be there. Nobody's going to want this. But last I saw, Charizard Holofoil is still going for probably around $500 if you can find the right buyer. Now I ask you, what was your favorite
Oh,
Pokemon?
for sure. Squirtle.
Squirtle was my favorite, but there's a close second for me. My favorite
Charizard.
Snorlax.
They're the only. First off, they're the only two I remember, but I just thought they were really. Oh, I know who my favorite one is. How could I forget? Oh, I got this one. How could I forget Jigglypuff?
Jigglypuff is a good
Thing
one.
would just float around and go, Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff.
I will say, for there being 1,010 of them, some of them you can see they just phoned the fuck in. Some of them are really clever, though. I mean, either in character design or in name or sometimes in both. The original 150, they had Abra, who evolved into Kadabra, who evolved into Alakazam. I thought that was genius. Some of them paid homage to famous people. There was Hitmonchan for Jackie Chan, Hitmonlee, who was a karate expert for Bruce Lee. And then some of them were just outright offensive. There's one called Jinx. I think it's wearing blackface.
I do remember the cat was really poorly drawn, and I was always thinking, "Oh, it really sucks." And then
Meowth, yeah.
I also didn't like the brother and sister with the weird hair.
Team Rocket?
Team Rocket. I didn't like Team Rocket. Thought they were what was making their hair stick like that?
A little something about Mary action going on there.
The only thing I knew in the 90s could make hair go that way. Well, Scott, we appreciate being educated. You know, as a father to a kid who was into Pokemon, I never did figure out what the fuck the magic was all about. But at least now I have a better understanding of what the whole thing was, you know, that was going on in my kid's world, because I just missed it, right? It came out in the 90s. I remember being in college and just, you know, looking at some of these animated things that were on the Fox TV. I think it probably aired on Fox, if I remember right.
I think you're right, yeah.
I think I did watch a little bit more Pokemon than I remember. And you've brought that back. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. This concludes part 2 of the miniseries.
And that takes us right on to the news. So you sent this article in, Screen Rant. Maybe you could talk about it, because we were talking about it the other day and you seem to understand it better. This article discusses the potential return of the character Rocky Balboa to the G.I. Joe franchise in its new Energon universe continuity. What the hell is going on here?
So this is all comic book talk. There is still G.I. Joe comic books. And apparently back in the day, they introduced Rocky Balboa. Yes, that Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Stallone, as a G.I. Joe. And when they did this, they did it before they actually had the licensing secured to do this. So then they had to go ahead and do a retraction. Like, Rocky Balboa is and never was a G.I. Joe. But the way they went about doing it made it sound like this was a real thing, but now he was dishonorably discharged and they're disavowing that he was a Joe and he disgraced the uniform. So now what this article is saying is, now that they have this new Energon reboot of the G.I. Joe universe, they really ought to reinstate Rocky Balboa, do it the right way, get the licensing, and make him an honorary Joe. I sent this over to you because I thought it was really funny how we were talking about William Refrigerator Perry and Sergeant Slaughter and these real life famous people that became G.I. Joe. I had no idea Rocky Balboa was one of them.
And why not Rambo? That would make more sense.
Wouldn't it? He's wanted for war crimes. They can't get him past that morality.
We've never seen Rocky hold a laser gun, you know? We don't even know if he has thumbs. He's always wearing boxing gloves. So he can't do the Kung Fu grip. We can't be sure. What is this Energon thing? Because that's a Transformers term, the Energon cubes and all of that.
Well, much like you've been talking about here recently about the Hasbro universe, in comic books, they are merging. Transformers and G.I. Joe are in the same world. They're merging. They're coming together in the comics. So I believe that's this storyline.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with the other thing that I knew about the Hasbro universe, if they're still going forward with it, or they decided, nah, let's just do a couple of the main properties in the comics. Or they're saying, let's try it out in the comics like Predator and Alien did and see if it takes, and then we'll feel safer about putting this out.
Then we'll make shitty movies like Alien and Predator.
We'll create a whole bunch more disappointed fans with even worse G.I. Joe and Transformers movies.
And we'll keep making them and beat it into the earth.
And then how about this shit? There's even more Transformers coming. Transformers 1, a cartoon.
Oh.
Featuring some big name actors.
Like who?
I'm glad you asked. Scarlett Johansson, for one.
Chris Evans, right?
No, The other one is Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
So they're getting the whole MCU to do the voices for Transformers, the new cartoon. No, but the weird thing is Chris Hemsworth is playing Optimus Prime.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Look, the main guy, Peter Cullen, like he's the voice. I wish it were him. Guy's got to retire at some point. You know, he doesn't. I'm sure he made his bank on the Transformers voice alone. So he's going to want to retire at some point. They got to get a new actor. So if this guy can do it, I guess we can learn to accept it if it's good.
Crikey! Autobots! Assemble!
Autobots, roll out.
See, now that was British.
Damn it. Again, I'm not good with my accents. I'm trying so hard to recall Crocodile Dundee lines.
That's not a knife. This is knife.
It's not in a John.
That's not in a job.
Is he gonna do a deep voice? All right, well, we can end with one little last news story. Since we've been talking about this Flash movie, I think people are just done with multiverse, and I am after seeing the Spider-Verse stuff. But the Flash movie's bombing. Did you see that coming?
No, I thought that was going to be huge.
Yeah, man, me too. I thought there was enough interest in this thing to see what they do, how they pull this train wreck together. But damn, it's bombing. It's bombing. I never would have thought it would bomb like that. That means it's going to be on streaming like tomorrow. And you told me about some of the spoilers, so they're already leaking out. And the one I heard about, I'm just absolutely offended by. And you knew
It's
I'd be even
horrific.
said, yeah.
I said, "Do you want to hear a very horrific spoiler?" And you were like, "Oh, you saw it?" I'm like, "No, I just read it, and I don't even want to see it now."
Yeah, I think they went too far on that.
I don't think we can talk about it on here yet. Too soon, I think. It just came out last week. But if you care, not to tickle your ass with a feather here, if you care, it's all over the internet because it's very much in bad taste.
We were talking the other day about spoilers. I haven't seen any spoilers. You must be reading totally different stuff than me. That's spoiling everything for you.
I don't know, man. This made quite the splash.
Well, maybe we give it one more week to marinate. Maybe we talk about it next week. How about we wrap it up today, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to another terrific, maybe our best one, episode of Too Much CGI. Any final thoughts, Scott?
No, I just want to welcome all the new listeners, that huge influx of people watching. Even if you're bots, welcome aboard. It certainly is refreshing and feels good. Makes it seem like this is all worthwhile. It's not just us talking to each other, even though that's a good time. I do this if it's just me and you talking all the time.
People have said to me, yeah, I can tell you guys are friends and have been friends for a while. The way you guys do the show, I can tell. I always think that's nice and that's sweet. So hopefully that's coming through to everybody out there.
So to close out, I guess, again, welcome all the new people. Glad to have you aboard. Hope you're having a good time. Just me and Bill shooting the shit like we normally do. You just get to come along for the ride. And welcome back, Estonians. We've missed you.